Hello my friends, it's Lisa, and today I'm going to be chatting through all of the things I plan to read in August. August is when the second half of the Magical Readathon is happening, the autumn equinox edition, which is very ironic that it's the autumn equinox because I'm literally sweating filming this TBR right now. It's too hot. I really do wish it was like autumn right now, but the autumn equinox edition of the Magical Readathon is happening in August, and of course I am participating. I participated in April, and I will be continuing on with the career I chose in April and completing those prompts. So back in April, when the spring equinox edition of this readathon was happening, I chose the Feywild cartographer career, and I kind of was a bit strategic when choosing that career, hoping that I wouldn't have to do so many prompts when this autumn equinox edition of the readathon rolled around, and luckily I only have to complete 8 prompts, and I've been somewhat easy on myself when choosing the books for this readathon, so I think I'll be able to do it, and I'm very excited to read all of the things that I chose. So yeah, I have 8 classes, 8 prompts that I have to complete, and let's just get into the actual TBR. So I tend to kind of change my TBR throughout the month when doing a readathon. It kind of is just inevitable. I always have a plan, and then I feel like some way along the line I end up changing what I'm reading. So a couple of these classes, a couple of these prompts, I have a couple of options for, and I actually do need some assistance with one of them. I don't know if one of the books I chose counts for one of the prompts, but we will discuss that when we get there. I also am planning on doing weekly vlogs for this readathon, so throughout the entire month of August I'm doing vlogs, and I'm very excited, but that will be the place to see if my TBR changes and what I end up reading. So the first class I have to complete for this readathon is Elemental Studies, and the prompt for that is to start a book with a drink. Literally the easiest prompt for a readathon I think I've ever seen. So I chose a book that I wasn't able to fit in my TBR any other way, and it's a book that I kind of need to read soon. So I'm going to be reading Emma by Jane Austen. This is one of my 5-star predictions for this year, which is why I was trying to get it to work on my TBR for this month. I want to start working on the next 5-star predictions vlog, so I knew I had to pick this up in August, and this was the only other prompt I could get this to work for, but it's super easy. I'm just going to start it with my morning coffee or something. I also always have my water bottle with me, my emotional support water bottle. So I could literally start this at any point and I will have a drink with me, but I might make it a little bit more special. I might have it with my coffee or make a iced coffee or something to make it a little bit more exciting. But yeah, this is what I'm going to be reading for that prompt. Super easy, and was happy that I could get it into my TBR somehow, and very excited to start on my next 5-star predictions vlog. So the next class I have to complete is Shapeshifting, and the prompt for that is to read a book with wings on the cover. So I'm very happy I also managed to get this on my TBR. I'm going to be reading Clockwork Princess by Cassandra Clare. This is the book we're reading for the Shadowhunters read along in August, so perfect timing. As you can see, there is the Clockwork Angel right at the top, and there are wings on the angel, so it is perfect for this. I think the other edition, the other cover, the original cover for this book, also has wings on it, because I think she's wearing her Clockwork Angel necklace. So if you are participating in the Shadowhunters read-along, I think that this could work for this prompt, or a lot of the prompts actually. I got this to work for a lot of the different prompts for my career, so if you are joining us, I'm sure it can work somehow for this readathon. But yeah, we are going to be concluding the Infernal Devices trilogy in the month of August for the Shadowhunters read-along. I'm so excited. I love this book so much. I know I'm just gonna sob throughout the entire thing. And I imagine, I didn't give a summary for Emma either, I just assume people know what these books are about because they're very popular. But if you do not know what this trilogy is about, this is one of the Shadowhunter books. We're following Tessa, who goes to London to find her brother after losing her aunt. She goes there to spend some time with him and to stay with him, but when she gets there, she gets taken by these sisters called the Dark Sisters, and they kind of force Tessa to discover and use this power she did not know she had, where she can transform into other people, and she ends up being saved by the Shadowhunters, and she gets to know Jem and Will, and there's a love triangle, but it's the best love triangle I've ever read, so it's great. And we're also seeing how Tessa's powers, how her ability is very desirable for certain people, and how that kind of affects these characters, and I'm very excited to read this. I love this trilogy so much, and this final book is just full of pain, so We will be sobbing. Okay, the next class is the one that I have a few options for and I kind of need some assistance with it. It's for animal studies and the prompt for that is to read a book with either an animal companion or a familiar. So the first book, I saw it come up on an option, like I went on a Goodreads shelf of like animal companions and it came up, but I need people to confirm it for me, and that's Fire by Kristen Kishore. This is the second book in the Graceling Realm series. I read Graceling earlier this year. Really enjoyed it. Each book kind of stands on its own, and this is actually a prequel to the Graceling book, like the first book in the series. So I'm really excited. I feel like a lot of people love this book, like it's their favorite in the series. So I really do want to read it. I did actually start reading it a few months ago. I got to page 16 and I didn't put it down because I wasn't enjoying it. I just put it down because so many holds and other like videos and book clubs and things started happening that I just haven't had a chance to pick it back up. But I would like to maybe read it in August. I just don't know if it could count for that prompt. I really do not know much about this series. I'm kind of just going in for the vibes. So if anyone could confirm if there is an animal companion / a familiar or something to do with any of that in this book, please let me know down below. But if Fire doesn't work, I do have a few other options. I was thinking I could pick up the Tea Dragon Tapestry by Kay O'Neill. This is the third and final book in the Tea Dragon Society graphic novel series. I absolutely love the first two books in this series. I read both of them when I was in need of like a pick-me-up. I was feeling a bit down and both of those books accomplished that. They're just so cute and they definitely complete the like animal companion prompt because the Tea Dragons are definitely animal companions. The tea dragons are just these cute little dragons that grow tea leaves off of their antlers, and if you make tea with those tea leaves and you drink it, you will be able to see the memories of their owners, and it's just really cute. There's not really much of a plot in either of them. Like there is, but it's also just really cute and just so fun to read. So I would love to read the third one. So yeah, that's another option that I have for this prompt that I know like for sure will count for this prompt. I was also thinking of reading Savvy Sheldon Feels Good as Hell by Taj McCoy, but I know Casey read this and loved it, and literally in Casey's review she mentions that there's a dog on the cover. It seems like the dog is actually relevant to the story, so that could count as well. I might listen to it even if I don't count it for this prompt anyway. I might still listen to the audiobook this month, but I figured that that could count as well. And then I have a variety of formats. I have a physical book, a graphic novel, and an audiobook to choose from. But I would love to know if this could count because I think this is kind of my first choice, but if it doesn't, I obviously have those other options. So please let me know though if you do know. So the next class is astronomy, and the prompt for that is to read a book with L in the title. So I decided to go with Long Way Down by Jason Reynolds, and every time I say Long Way Down, I want to start singing the One Direction song. So this is a book that I have heard so many great things about. I've heard a lot of really good things about Jason Reynolds books in general, so this would be the first one I'm reading from him. So in this book, you're following Will, whose brother Sean has just been killed, and Will decides to kind of get revenge for that. So he leaves, I assume, his apartment and gets on the elevator to go down and leave and get that revenge. But each stop on the elevator, someone comes on the elevator with him, and it's someone from his past. It's also someone that has passed away before that, so there's a bit of a magical element, it seems, to this as well. And it just seems like it's going to be a very emotional and impactful story. It's also written in verse, and I have not read very many books written in verse, but the ones I have read have been very emotional or impactful, so I imagine this is going to be the same. I also thought this would just be a good book to read for a readathon because it is written in verse. It'll be very quick to read. It'll be something that I can probably read in one sitting, and I do think me, Casey, and Darian are planning on doing a 24-hour readathon at some point in August, so I figured I could read it for that as well. And yeah, I'm very excited to read it. I know it's going to make me very sad and it's going to be very emotional, but I'm very excited to try out one of Jason Reynolds' books. Also, apologies for the lighting. It's a very cloudy day, so the sun is just going to keep coming in and out. But anyway, I know people don't care about that, but I still feel the need to apologize. When other people do that in videos, I literally don't care. So I don't know why I do it. But anyway, the next class is for alchemy. And the prompt for that is to read a book that's on somebody's worst books list that you think you would like. So once again, I have a couple options for this. So the first one that I would prefer to read is The Hawthorne Legacy by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. This is the second book in the Inheritance Games series. I read the first one for my book talk reading vlog, and I liked it. I didn't love the book by any means, but I liked it enough and was interested enough to keep going in the series to kind of figure out the mystery and why our main character has inherited this very large amount of money and all of these things from this very rich person that she has no connection to, that she doesn't understand why. It's a very interesting premise, and I am interested to see where the rest of the series goes. So I placed a hold on the sequel, and I think it is planning on coming in. At least Libby says it's planning on coming in during the month of August. So if my hold on that comes in, that is going to be what I read for this, I think. But who really knows with Libby? I feel like sometimes the kind of approximate time that they give you when a book will come in is very wrong. But if it comes in during the month of August, this is going to be what I pick up. This showed up on Cindy from Read with Cindy's Worst Books of 2021 video, so that is where I got that. But if that doesn't come in, I think I'm going to pick up The Ones We're Meant to Find by Joan He. I know this showed up on Kayla from Books and Lala's like worst/most disappointing books of 2021 video, but I also know a few other people haven't really enjoyed it either. But I also know that, like, I go on Goodreads and I look at my friends' ratings and it's kind of all over the place, so there is a chance that I could enjoy it and join my friends who did like it. I think Andrea really liked this book, so I don't know where I could fall. I think I could potentially like it, so I thought that this could work as well. But I think the Hawthorne Legacy is definitely like my priority and definitely my first choice. If that comes in time, that's going to be what I choose for this prompt. So the next class is Inscription, and this is actually the one that I have to read 2 books for. I have 2 different prompts within this class that I have to complete. So the first prompt is a childhood favorite, and I'm so excited. I was trying to think of what I could do for this because I was considering like baby Lisa to like 12-year-old Lisa, my childhood. So I had a few different options, but then I remembered we have a bag of some of me and my sister's older books from like when we were in like middle school. I do have more of my childhood books somewhere like in our attic or something, but these ones I knew I actually had like access to and would be a little bit easier to get to. So I looked through that bag and look at what I found. So I am gonna read The Click by Lacey Harrison for this prompt, and I'm so excited. I used to love this series. I made it pretty far. Well, we have a bag full of the books. I think we had like the first 10 at least in the series, and I think I read all of them. I think there's more than 10, but I read a decent amount of the books in this series, and I remember loving them. I don't really remember much about this series. There's like certain scenes in certain books like throughout the whole series that I kind of remember. I just remember the main girl's name is Claire. She moves in to like the leader of the clique's like guest house or something. Yeah, she moves into the guest house while her family is like looking for an actual place to live, and that Claire wears Keds. I remember that. I don't know why the Keds thing really stands out to me, but she wears Keds. That's it. That's all I remember from this book. And I know that there's a part, I don't know if it's in this first book or one of the books down the line. I think it's in one of the other books in the series where maybe it's Claire or one of the girls in the clique goes on a date with this boy and they go horseback riding. That's it. That's all I got for you. But I'm really excited. I do not know if this is going to hold up at all. I don't know when this book came out, but it was quite a while ago. I remember reading these when I was like, I think I was like 9 or 10 years old when I started this series, and I absolutely loved it. So definitely a childhood favorite, and I'm so excited to read this. It's also not very long. It's like just over 200 pages, so another book that will be good for a readathon. I can get through it pretty quickly. And then the other prompt that I have to complete for the inscription class is to read a graphic novel, comic, or manga. So I was thinking that if I don't read the Tea Dragon Tapestry for the animal studies class, I could read it for this as well. But if I do end up reading that for the animal studies class, I'm obviously going to need something else to read for this prompt. So I think I'm going to read Nimona by N.D. Stevenson. I have put this graphic novel on so many TBRs since starting my channel. I think I've put it as different options for a prompt like this on other readathons in the past, and I still have not read it. It's been 3 years since I've had this channel and I still haven't read it. So maybe this is the readathon where that finally changes. So I actually don't know too much about the plot of this book. I know we're following Nimona, who teams up with this villain to kind of go against the heroes in this like fictional world, and that's all I really know. I don't want to know too much about it because I feel like with graphic novels they're not always super long, so I don't like reading the synopsis because I feel like I could spoil myself for too much. So I just like to go into them and see what happens. And this is a graphic novel that I've seen recommended and so many people read for years and years, so I'm hoping that this is the year I finally read it. And the final class, the final prompt that I have to do is for demonology, and that's just to read a fantasy. So for this, I'm going to read The Lost Sisters by Holly Black. This is a novella that is taking place in the Cruel Prince, Folk of the Air world, and it's intended to be read between the first and second books in the series. And I don't think this is like required to be read to continue on with the series, but I know it exists, so I have to read it. That's just the way my brain works. And it's also only 50 pages, so it'll be a super quick read. Why not read it? But this is following Taryn, who is Jude's twin sister, and it's kind of giving her perspective on the events from the first book, I think. Which, like, do I care? No, because I don't really like Taryn, but I'm gonna read it anyway. But it is a fantasy, it will complete the prompt, and it also will be helping me make progress in one of the many series that I have started. But that is it, actually. Those are all of the classes and the prompts that I have to complete for the Magical Readathon Autumn Equinox, and I'm very excited. I absolutely love this readathon. I love how much thought and effort is put into it and how creative it is. So again, shout out to G from Book Rose for creating this readathon. So much fun, and I'd love to know if you're participating, what career you have, what you're reading, any prompts that you may be struggling with. Maybe we can all help you out in the comments below. And like I said, I am planning on doing weekly vlogs for this readathon, so I will be keeping you up to date on what I am reading, if I actually stick to this TBR or not, because knowing me, I probably won't. I also, just in case you're interested, will have my Magical Readathon vlogs from the spring equinox back in April linked below in case you want to watch those and get caught up. I don't know. But yeah, that's it. That's my TBR for the Magical Readathon Autumn Equinox. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.